The transport ship docked at Galactic Council Station Theta 9 with a soft hiss. Tae-Yang stood at the airlock, adjusting his formal diplomatic coat. He carried a small travel case in one hand. In the other arm, he held a carrier with soft mesh sides. Inside, a small calico cat watched the busy docking bay with green eyes. Bora walked up beside him. She wore the same formal human delegation uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back tight. She looked at the carrier and shook her head. "You really brought miso?" she asked. "The other species will think it is strange. Miso goes where I go," Tae-Yang said. His voice was calm. "These negotiations will take weeks. I need her company," Bora did not argue. She had worked with Tae-Yang for 3 years. She knew he made decisions carefully. If he wanted to bring his cat to the most important diplomatic event of the decade, he had his reasons. They walked through the docking bay. The station was massive. It orbited a neutral star between several major galactic territories. Hundreds of species used it for trade talks, peace negotiations, and political meetings. The corridors were wide enough for creatures 3 times human height. The air tasted recycled but clean. Other delegations moved through the halls. A group of 6-legged beings with purple skin walked past. They glanced at the humans but said nothing. 3 floating jellyfish-like creatures drifted by overhead. Their translator devices hummed softly. The reception hall was enormous. It had a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. Tables were arranged in a circle around the center. Each table had different-sized chairs and platforms to accommodate different body types. Servers moved between the tables, offering food and drinks from dozens of worlds. Tae-Yang and Bora found the human delegation table. It was positioned between the Vorian Empire and the Kresh Collective. Tae-Yang set Miso's carrier on the floor beside his chair. He opened the mesh door. The cat stepped out carefully, sniffed the air, then sat down and began washing her face. Ambassador Vrath noticed immediately. He was the lead representative of the Vorian Empire. His species looked like large lizards standing upright. His scales were deep red with black patterns. He stood nearly 8 feet tall. When he saw the cat, his eyes narrowed. "What is that?" Vrath asked. His voice came through a translator as a deep rumble. He pointed one clawed finger at Miso. "Her name is Miso," Tae-Yang said. "She is my companion." Vrath stared at the small cat. Miso ignored him. She finished cleaning her face and lay down on the cool floor. "That tiny thing is your companion?" Vrath said. He laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "We Vorians bring war beasts to guard us during long missions. Creatures that can tear through steel doors. You bring something that looks like it would fit in my mouth." Other delegates heard the comment. Several turned to look. Delegate Kryn approached from the Kresh table. Her species resembled large insects. She had 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected light in strange colors. She clicked her mandibles together. "Is this a human pet?" Kryn asked. She bent down to look closer at Miso. The cat opened one eye, looked at the insectoid delegate, then closed it again. "What purpose does it serve?" "She provides companionship," Tae-Yang explained. "Emotional support during stressful assignments." Kryn made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter. Several other delegates were listening now. Word spread quickly through the reception hall. The humans had brought a pet. "A tiny, useless pet. Emotional support?" Vrath repeated. "You need emotional support?" He looked at the other Vorian delegates. They all showed their teeth in what might have been smiles. "Perhaps humans are too soft for serious galactic politics. We Vorians face danger with strength, not by petting small animals." Bora felt her jaw tighten. She wanted to say something sharp. Tae-Yang put a hand on her arm. His expression did not change. "Every species has different needs," Tae-Yang said calmly. "We do not judge your choices. We ask the same courtesy." "No judgment here," Kryn said. Her tone suggested otherwise. "I am simply curious. On my world, we keep food animals. Small ones like that. Easy to carry, easy to eat." "Is that what this is for?" "No," Bora said firmly. "Miso is family." This comment drew more laughter. The concept seemed to amuse many of the delegates. A creature so small being considered family? How strange these humans were. How weak they must be. The reception continued. Delegates mingled and made small talk before the formal negotiations would begin the next day. But the humans found fewer beings willing to approach their table. When delegates did come over, they often glanced at the cat with barely hidden amusement. Miso seemed unbothered by the attention. She explored the area around the human table. She sniffed at the legs of chairs. She watched the movement of other species with detached interest. When a server offered Taeyang a plate of food, Miso jumped onto his lap. She settled there, purring softly. Vrath watched this with obvious disdain. He spoke loudly to his fellow Vorians, making sure his words carried. "Look at the human ambassador," he said. "He sits at a galactic council with a creature in his lap like a child with a toy. And they wonder why their species has so little influence. They are more concerned with comfort than power." Bora leaned close to Taeyang. She kept her voice low. "They are making us look weak," she whispered. "Maybe you should take Miso back to our quarters." Taeyang stroked the cat's fur gently. Miso's purring grew louder. "Let them think what they want," he said quietly. "Their opinions about Miso do not matter. What matters is the trade agreement we came here to negotiate. We will do our job. They will do theirs. The rest is noise." The reception lasted another 2 hours. By the end, nearly every delegation had heard about the human's tiny pet. The story spread through the station like water through cracks. Humans and their strange attachment to useless creatures. How typical. How foolish. When the reception finally ended, Taeyang and Bora made their way to the residential section of the station. They had been assigned quarters on level 7, near the diplomatic suites. The rooms were comfortable. 2 bedrooms, a shared common area, and a small workspace. Taeyang set up a small litter box in the corner of his bedroom. He put out food and water bowls. Miso investigated everything carefully the way cats do. She tested the bed by jumping on it, then jumping off. She examined the windows that looked out at the stars. Finally, she chose a spot on the shelf above the bed and settled there. Bora stood in the doorway between their rooms. "That could have gone better," she said. "It went exactly as expected," Taeyang replied. He was unpacking his formal documents. "They judge based on what they see. They see a small animal and assume weakness. Their mistake, not ours." "I hope you are right," Bora said. She looked tired. "Tomorrow starts the real negotiations. We need them to take us seriously." "They will," Taeyang said, "one way or another." Outside, in the corridors of Level 7, other delegates walked to their own quarters. Some were still chuckling about the human and his cat. Others discussed more serious matters. None of them paid attention to the ordinary sounds of a space station at night. Deep in the lower levels, in the exotic creature containment wing, something shifted in its holding cell. Security sensors recorded the movement but flagged nothing unusual. The automated systems noted it in a log file that no one would read until morning. In Taeyang's quarters, Miso yawned, showing small white teeth. She curled into a ball on her shelf and closed her eyes. Her tail wrapped around her body. Within minutes, she was asleep. The purring stopped. The room fell silent except for the quiet hum of the station's life support systems. Taeyang finished his unpacking and climbed into bed. Tomorrow would be a long day of negotiations. He needed rest. He looked up at Miso on her shelf one more time, then turned off the lights. The station continued its slow rotation around the distant star. Thousands of beings slept or worked or traveled through its corridors. Life went on as it always did, routine and predictable. No one suspected that by morning everything would change. The station ran on a 26-hour cycle to accommodate multiple species. At hour 22, the lights in residential corridors dimmed to simulate night. Most delegates retired to their quarters. The station's main system switched to night mode. Only essential personnel remained on duty. In the exotic creature containment wing, 3 levels below the residential section, a technician named Ryle checked the holding cells. His species did not sleep, so night shifts suited him well. He walked the rows of transparent barriers, scanning each one with a handheld device. Most cells held specimens for scientific study, or creatures in transit to other worlds. A few contained dangerous animals seized from illegal traders. Riel stopped at cell 47. Inside, a Venom Fangbeast lay coiled against the far wall. The creature was massive. Its body stretched 12 feet long, covered in overlapping scales that looked like black armor. 6 legs ended in claws designed for gripping and tearing. Its head was broad and flat with a mouthful of fangs. 2 of those fangs were hollow, connected to venom glands. The venom could paralyze most species in seconds and kill them in minutes. Fangbeasts came from a world with 3 times normal gravity. They were ambush hunters. They could remain perfectly still for hours, then strike with shocking speed. This one had been confiscated from a smuggler 2 weeks ago. It was waiting for transfer to a proper facility. Real's scanner showed normal readings. The beast was calm. Its vital signs were stable. He moved on to the next cell. He did not see the hairline crack forming at the base of the containment field generator. It had been there for days, growing slowly. The station's maintenance logs had flagged it for repair, but the work order was scheduled for next week. It seemed like a minor issue. The backup systems were functioning. There was no immediate danger. At hour 23, the crack widened. The primary containment field flickered for half a second. The backup system activated automatically, but the power surge created a feedback loop. The backup field failed 3 seconds later. The transparent barrier around cell 47 went dark. The Fangbeast's eyes opened. It had been resting, not sleeping. Its species rarely slept in the way others did. It sensed the field's absence immediately. The creature uncoiled slowly, testing the air with a forked tongue. No barrier. No resistance, freedom. It moved to the cell entrance. Its claws made no sound on the metal floor. The door's physical lock was still engaged, but it was designed to work with the containment field. Without the field's reinforcement, the lock was just ordinary metal. The Fangbeast dug its claws into the seam and pulled. The door bent. The lock snapped. Alarms shrieked through the containment wing. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. Real spun around and saw the empty cell. His body went rigid with fear. He triggered his communicator with one of his 4 hands. "Containment breach," he shouted. "Cell 47. Fangbeast loose." The Fangbeast was already gone. It had slipped into the ventilation shaft, using its powerful legs to climb up through the station's infrastructure. The creature followed heat signatures and the scent of living beings. Station security activated lockdown protocols. Blast doors began sealing sections of the lower levels. But the Fangbeast moved faster than the security team anticipated. It climbed 2 levels before the doors closed behind it. Commander Vex arrived at the security control room within minutes. He was massive even by his species' standards. 4 arms, each thick with muscle. His species had evolved as warriors. He studied the camera feeds tracking the Fangbeast's movement through the station. "Where is it now?" he demanded. "Level 5, a technician replied, moving toward the residential corridors. Vex felt a chill despite his thick skin. Level 5 connected to Level 7 through emergency stairwells. Level 7 housed the diplomatic delegations. "Seal all access points to Level 7, Vex ordered. "Get security teams in position. Use stun weapons only. We need it alive." "Sir, stun weapons may not work on a Fangbeast," another officer said. "Their nervous systems are too redundant." "Then use nets. Use tranquilizers. I do not care. Just stop it before it reaches the delegates." But the Fangbeast was already ahead of them. It had found an unsealed maintenance shaft. The creature squeezed through, its flexible body compressing to fit spaces that seemed too small. It emerged on Level 6 directly below the residential section. The night shift workers on Level 6 scattered when they saw it. The Fangbeast ignored them. It was not hungry yet. It was searching for a secure place to hide, somewhere dark and warm, somewhere it could rest and plan its next move. It climbed the emergency stairwell to Level 7. The door at the top was locked, but the lock was designed for beings with hands, not for a creature that could generate crushing force with its jaws. The Fangbeast bit through the door's control panel. Sparks flew. The door slid open. Level 7's corridors were dim and quiet. Most delegates were asleep. The Fangbeast moved along the wall, staying low. Its scales were dark enough to blend with shadows. Security cameras tracked it, but the response teams were still 2 levels below, trying to predict where it would go. The creature stopped at an intersection. 3 corridors branched off. It tasted the air. One corridor carried the scent of silicon-based life. Wrong. Another carried the scent of methane breathers. Also wrong. The third corridor smelled of carbon-based, oxygen-breathing creatures. Familiar, prey-like. The Fangbeast chose the third corridor. In the security control room, Commander Vex watched the screens with growing dread. The Fangbeast was moving toward the human delegation's quarters. He could see which door it was approaching. "Alert the humans," Vex said. "Get them out of there now," a technician tried. The communication system buzzed. But Taeyang and Bora had activated the sound-dampening feature in their quarters. It was common for diplomats to block outside noise during sleep. The alert signal was not strong enough to override it. "They are not responding," the technician reported. "How long until security teams arrive?" Vex asked. 2 minutes. "They do not have 2 minutes," Vex said quietly. The Fangbeast reached the door to Taeyang's quarters. It could sense warmth on the other side. Living heat. Sleeping prey. The door was standard issue, made to slide open with a control panel or manual override. The creature studied it for a moment, then wedged its claws into the seam where the door met the wall. It pulled. The door resisted. The Fangbeast pulled harder. Metal groaned. The door bent slightly. The creature adjusted its grip and pulled again with all its considerable strength. The door slid open. The Fangbeast entered the dark room. Taeyang lay in bed, breathing slowly. Deep sleep. Unaware. The room was dark except for a faint glow from the window showing stars beyond. The Fangbeast's eyes adjusted instantly. It saw the sleeping human. It saw the furniture. It saw a shelf above the bed. On that shelf, 2 green eyes opened. Miso had been sleeping lightly the way cats do. The sound of the door opening had woken her. She watched the massive creature enter. Her body remained completely still. Only her eyes moved, tracking the Fangbeast as it crept toward Taeyang's bed. The Fangbeast was focused on the human. It moved slowly, carefully. It had learned patience over millions of years of evolution. Ambush predators did not rush. They positioned themselves perfectly before striking. In the security control room, every officer watched the screen in horror. They could see the Fangbeast approaching the sleeping human. They could see it opening its mouth, fangs extending. Venom dripped from the hollow tips. "Where are my security teams?" Vex roared. 30 seconds out, came the reply. 30 seconds might as well have been 30 years. The Fangbeast was within striking distance. Its muscles tensed. Its body coiled, preparing to lunge. On the shelf, Miso's pupils dilated until her eyes were almost entirely black. Her ears flattened against her skull. Her body shifted from relaxed to ready in less than a heartbeat. The Fangbeast never saw her coming. Miso launched from the shelf like a missile. Her small body crossed the distance in a blur. The security officers watching the camera feed could barely track her movement. One moment she was on the shelf, the next she was airborne, claws extended. She hit the Fangbeast's head with all 4 paws. Her front claws sank deep into the sensitive tissue around the creature's eyes. The beast roared, a sound that shook the walls. It thrashed its massive head, trying to throw off the tiny attacker. Miso held on. Her claws were hooked into flesh now. The Fangbeast's violent movements only drove them deeper. She adjusted her position with lightning speed, bringing her back claws into play. They raked across the beast's sensory organs, tearing through the delicate structures that allowed it to hunt. Taeyang woke to chaos. He saw a massive shape thrashing in his room. Furniture crashed. Something heavy slammed into the wall. He rolled out of bed instinctively, hitting the floor hard. His training took over. He scrambled backward, trying to understand what was happening. The Fangbeast spun in a circle, its tail smashing through a chair. Blood ran down its face from the wounds around its eyes. It could not see. It could not smell properly. Its sophisticated sensory system was damaged. For a creature that relied on detecting prey, this was worse than death. Miso rode the beast's movements like a rodeo rider. When it spun, she adjusted her grip. When it tried to slam her against the wall, she shifted to the other side of its head. She was too small, too fast, too close to its body for the creature to target effectively. The Fangbeast opened its mouth wide. Venom dripped from its fangs. It snapped blindly, trying to catch the cat. Its jaws closed on empty air. Miso had already moved. She climbed over the top of the beast's head, digging her claws in for purchase as she went. In the security control room, Commander Vex stood frozen. Every instinct told him this was impossible. A creature weighing perhaps 10 pounds was attacking a predator that weighed over 300 pounds. A creature that had evolved on a death world. A creature that had killed armed soldiers. And the tiny earth animal was winning. "Get those security teams in there now," Vex shouted. But even as he gave the order, he knew they would arrive too late. Whatever was going to happen would be over before his people reached that room. Miso reached the back of the Fangbeast's head. She could feel the thick scales protecting the spine, but she also felt something else, a gap, a place where the armor did not quite overlap. Evolution had given Fangbeasts incredible protection, but nothing was perfect. Every creature had weak points. She bit down on the exposed flesh. Her teeth were small but sharp. They pierced through to the major blood vessel that ran beneath. The beast's blood tasted strange, chemical, and bitter. Miso did not care. She bit deeper. The Fangbeast went wild. It crashed into the wall with enough force to crack the panel. It rolled onto its back, trying to crush the cat beneath its weight. Miso released her bite just in time, scrambling to stay on top as the creature flipped over. Tae-yang pressed himself against the far wall. His heart hammered. He could see Miso now, a small dark shape against the much larger beast. He wanted to help her, but what could he do? He had no weapons. The creature between him and the door was designed to kill. The Fangbeast's movements became more erratic. It was losing blood quickly. The wound in its neck was not deep, but it was in exactly the right place, or the wrong place depending on perspective. The beast tried to stand. Its legs wobbled. It took 2 steps toward Tae-yang, then stumbled. Miso attacked the wound again. This time her teeth found something vital. The beast's front legs collapsed. It tried to roar, but the sound came out as a wheeze. Blood pooled on the floor beneath it. The door to the quarters burst open. Bora stood there in her sleeping clothes, eyes wide. She had heard the noise through the walls. Behind her, 3 security officers in full armor pushed into the room. They raised their weapons, then stopped. The Fangbeast was on the floor. It was still breathing, but barely. Its movements were weak. Miso sat on its neck, her teeth still buried in the wound. She looked up at the security officers. Her eyes were calm. She released her grip and stepped off the dying creature. The Fangbeast tried to rise one more time. It managed to lift its head a few inches. Then its strength failed completely. The head dropped. The creature's breathing stopped. Its eyes went dull. Silence fell over the room. Miso walked across the floor toward Tae-yang. Her paws left small bloody prints. She sat down at his feet and began grooming herself, licking blood from her fur. She seemed completely unbothered by what had just happened. One of the security officers, a young female from a feline-like species, stared at Miso with her mouth open. "It killed a Fangbeast," she whispered. "A Venom Fangbeast. I saw it, but I do not believe it." Commander Vex arrived moments later, breathing hard from running. He pushed past his officers and stopped at the doorway. His 4 eyes took in the scene. The destroyed furniture, the dead Fangbeast, the blood, the small cat calmly washing her face. "Explain," he said. His voice was flat. Tae-yang found his voice. It came out shaky at first, then steadied. "The beast entered my quarters. I was asleep. Miso attacked it. She killed it." Vex looked at Miso again. The cat had finished cleaning her face. She yawned, showing those small white teeth. Then she curled up on the floor and closed her eyes as if nothing unusual had occurred. "That is not possible," Vex said. "Fangbeasts are apex predators. They have killed trained warriors. Entire security teams have fallen to creatures like this." "I have the entire fight on camera," one of the officers said. He held up a portable display. "Commander, you need to see this." Vex watched the recording. He saw Miso launch from the shelf. He saw her target the eyes first, eliminating the beast's ability to hunt effectively. He saw her move with impossible speed, always staying just out of reach. He saw her find the weak point in the armor. He saw her bite through to the blood vessel with surgical precision. It was not luck. It was not frenzy. It was calculated violence performed by an expert killer. Bora knelt beside Tae-yang. She checked him for injuries. He was shaking but unharmed. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "No," Tae-yang said. "Miso saved me. She woke up and killed that thing before it could reach me." Bora looked at the cat. Miso's eyes were closed, but her ears twitched at the sound of her name. She did not look dangerous. She looked like a small, ordinary pet. "Secure the area," Vex ordered his team. "Get medical here to check the ambassador. I want a full forensic analysis of that creature. And someone explain to me how our containment systems failed." The security officers moved to obey. 2 of them tried to approach Miso, perhaps to examine her. The cat opened one eye and hissed. It was not a loud sound, but both officers took a step back. Tae-yang reached down and picked up Miso. She relaxed immediately in his arms. Her purring started up again, a soft rumble. To anyone watching, she looked completely peaceful. "She needs to be cleaned up," Tae-yang said. "And I need to relocate to different quarters." "Of course," Vex said. He could not take his eyes off the cat. "Ambassador, I apologize for this incident. Our security failed. You could have been killed." But I was not killed, Taeyang replied. Thanks to Miso. Vex had no response to that. The evidence was lying on the floor. A Venom Fangbeast dead. Killed by a creature 1/30th its size. News of the incident spread through the station faster than the security lockdown. Within an hour, every delegation knew. The human's tiny pet had killed a Fangbeast alone in the dark. While protecting its sleeping owner, Ambassador Vrath heard the news in his quarters. He had been preparing for the morning's negotiations. The information made him stop mid-sentence. He pulled up the security footage on his private terminal. He watched it 3 times. Delegate Kryn received a message from her staff. She read it, then read it again. She called the sender to confirm. They confirmed. She sat in silence for several minutes processing the implications. Taeyang and Bora were moved to new quarters on level 8. These had better security and no damaged furniture. Medical staff checked Taeyang thoroughly. He was fine, just shaken. They offered to examine Miso, but the cat hissed at them. Taeyang politely declined on her behalf. He gave Miso a bath in the small cleaning station. She tolerated it with obvious displeasure, but she allowed him to wash away the blood. When he finished, she retreated to a high shelf in the new bedroom and glared at him. I know you hate baths, Taeyang said softly, but you saved my life tonight. Thank you. Miso's ears turned toward him. She blinked slowly, the way cats do when they trust someone. Then she began grooming herself again, fixing what Taeyang had done to her fur. Bora sat on the new bed, her head in her hands. They all saw it, she said. The entire station. They saw Miso kill that creature? Yes, Taeyang said. The same delegates who mocked her yesterday, who laughed at us for bringing a useless pet. Yes, Taeyang said again. Bora looked up at him. A small smile touched her lips. Tomorrow's negotiations are going to be very interesting, she said. Taeyang nodded. He looked at Miso on her shelf. The cat had finished grooming and was curling up to sleep. Her tail wrapped around her body. Her eyes closed. Within seconds, she was purring softly. Yes, Taeyang said quietly. I believe they will be. The emergency council session began at hour 6 of the morning cycle. The main chamber was full. Every major delegation had sent representatives. Many smaller delegations had come as well. The incident had become the only topic anyone wanted to discuss. Commander Vex stood at the central platform. He looked tired. His forearms hung at his sides. He had spent the entire night managing the security failure and its aftermath. The containment breach occurred at hour 23. He began. A power surge caused both primary and backup containment fields to fail on cell 47. The Venom Fangbeast escaped and made its way to level 7 before security teams could intercept. Ambassador Vrath interrupted. He stood from his seat, his red scales catching the light. We all know how it escaped, Vrath said. What we want to know is how a human pet killed it. Fangbeasts are considered one of the most dangerous predators in known space. Your own security manual lists them as extreme threats. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. This was the question everyone had. How had such a small creature defeated such a large threat? Dr. Thexis has completed the preliminary autopsy, Vex said. Doctor, please present your findings. Dr. Thexis approached the platform. She was a tall, thin being with gray skin and large eyes. Her species specialized in medical research. She had examined hundreds of alien life forms over her career, but this case was unusual even for her. The Fangbeast died from blood loss, she said. The earth creature, the cat, inflicted multiple precise wounds. First, it damaged the eyes and sensory organs. This eliminated the Fangbeast's ability to track prey effectively. Then it targeted a major blood vessel in the neck, biting through scales in the exact location where armor coverage was weakest. Dr. Thexis displayed holographic images of the wounds. The delegates leaned forward to see. The damage was shocking. Small but deep punctures, clean cuts made by teeth no bigger than needles. These wounds show no signs of random violence, Dr. Thexis continued. Each strike was calculated. The cat avoided the Fangbeast's strongest defenses and attacked its weakest points. This level of tactical awareness is remarkable. Delegate Kryn stood. Her compound eyes reflected the holographic display in strange patterns. Are you suggesting this was not instinct? She asked. The cat deliberately chose where to attack? Yes, Dr. Thexis said simply. The video evidence supports this conclusion. The cat's movements were too precise to be random aggression. Vex activated the wall screens. The security footage began to play. Every delegate in the chamber watched in silence. They saw Miso launch from the shelf. They saw her target the eyes first. They saw her ride the beast's movements, always staying just out of reach. They saw her find the weak point in the armor. The footage played at normal speed, then slowed down. Even slowed to 1/4 speed, Miso's movements were barely visible. She was simply too fast. When the video ended, the chamber remained silent. Several delegates exchanged glances. Others sat very still, processing what they had seen. Ta Yang sat in the human delegation section with Bora beside him. He had been summoned to answer questions. Miso was back in their quarters, sleeping peacefully. He waited for someone to speak first. Ambassador Vrath broke the silence. His voice was different now, less mocking, more careful. Ambassador Tae Yang, he said, I must ask, what exactly is that creature? We were told it was a pet, a companion animal, but what we just witnessed was a trained killer. Tae Yang stood. He took a moment to gather his thoughts before speaking. Miso is both, he said. On Earth, cats are common companion animals. Millions of humans keep them in their homes. They are affectionate, they provide emotional support, and they form strong bonds with their owners. But they are also predators. They evolved to hunt. They are one of the most efficient killers in Earth's ecosystem. Delegate Kryn clicked her mandibles together. It was a sign of confusion in her species. You keep predators as pets? She asked. Deliberately? In your homes? Around your young? Yes, Tae Yang said. Cats have lived with humans for thousands of years. We domesticated them, but we did not remove their hunting instincts. We just directed those instincts toward acceptable targets. On Earth, cats hunt small animals, mice, birds, insects. They keep our homes free of pests. Bora stood beside him. She had prepared information displays for this exact scenario. She activated a portable projector. Images of Earth cats appeared on the screens. Cats playing with humans. Cats sleeping in sunlight. Cats hunting in gardens. Despite their size, Bora explained, cats are apex predators in their weight class. They have extremely fast reflexes. Their reaction time is faster than almost any other mammal on Earth. They can see in very low light. They have sharp claws and teeth. And they are intelligent hunters who learn from experience. She showed a video of a cat hunting a bird. The delegates watched the cat stalk, calculate distances, and pounce with perfect timing. The bird never had a chance. This is normal behavior for cats, Bora said. They are ambush predators. They do not chase prey for long distances like some hunters. They get close, they strike fast, and they aim for vital areas. Neck, spine, major blood vessels. Miso did to the Fangbeast exactly what she would do to any threat. Ambassador Vrath looked at the images for a long time. When he spoke again, his tone had shifted even more. You told us yesterday that the cat provided emotional support, he said. You did not mention she was a weapon. She is not a weapon, Tae Yang said firmly. She is my companion. She lives with me. She sleeps on my bed. She asks for food and attention. She is family. But yes, when I was threatened, she protected me. That is what family does. Dr. Thexus spoke up again. I have examined the data on Earth cats, she said. Their kill success rate is over 70% when hunting. This is higher than most apex predators on any world. They are small, but they are extraordinarily efficient. And according to human records, they have never lost their instinct to defend their territory and their social groups. Another delegate stood. He was from a species that resembled upright wolves. His people were hunters themselves. He understood predators. Ambassador, he said, my species respects hunters. We value creatures who can fight. But I must ask, do all humans keep such dangerous animals in their homes? Or is this unusual? Cats are common, Tae Yang replied. But humans also keep dogs, which can be much larger and stronger. Some keep snakes, which use venom. Some keep birds with sharp beaks and claws. We live alongside these creatures. We form bonds with them. We trust them and they trust us. The wolf-like delegate sat down slowly. He looked troubled. Many others in the chamber shared his expression. Delegate Kryn raised one of her forearms. I find this concerning, she said. Humans bring predators to diplomatic stations. They treat them as companions. What does this say about human nature? Bora answered before Tae Yang could. It says we understand that strength comes in many forms, she said. We do not judge creatures by their size alone. We recognize that intelligence and capability are not the same as physical power. We see potential where others might see only danger. Commander Vex stepped forward. This council session was called to address the security breach, he said, but I believe we have learned something more important. We have learned that appearances can be deceiving, that small does not mean weak, and that we should not underestimate beings based on first impressions. He looked directly at Ambassador Vrath as he said this. Vrath did not respond, but his tail twitched, a sign of discomfort in his species. The human delegation has been cleared of any wrongdoing, Vex continued. Ambassador Taeyang followed all station regulations regarding companion animals. The cat was properly documented. Its presence was authorized, and it acted only in defense of its owner when our security systems failed. The council chair, an elderly being from a neutral species, spoke next. This session is concluded, she said. Security protocols will be reviewed. Containment systems will be upgraded, and I suggest that all delegations take time to reconsider their assumptions about the species they encounter. The delegates began to file out of the chamber. Many stopped to look at Taeyang and Bora as they passed. Some with respect, some with caution, some with barely hidden fear. Ambassador Vrath approached the human delegation table. He stood there for a moment as if deciding what to say. I spoke carelessly yesterday, he said finally. I judged your companion without understanding what she was. This was a mistake. It was not quite an apology, but it was close. Coming from Avorian, it was significant. Miso is still just a cat, Taeyang said. She is not a soldier. She is not a weapon. She is my friend. What she did was protect her family. Any creature will fight when those they love are threatened. Vrath nodded slowly. He left without saying more, but his tail was no longer twitching. He moved with the careful respect one shows to someone who has proven themselves dangerous. Delegate Kryn was the last to approach. She looked at Taeyang with all her compound eyes. I would like to know more about Earth, she said quietly, about your world and the creatures that live there. I suspect we have much to learn from humans. We would be happy to share, Taeyang replied. When the chamber finally emptied, Taeyang and Bora walked back to their quarters. The morning cycle was beginning. Conference room had been prepared with care. Each delegation had its assigned space. The agenda was displayed on the central screens. Everything looked the same as it had before, but the atmosphere was completely different. Taeyang entered with Bora at his side. Miso walked beside them on a simple leash. The cat had not wanted the leash, but Taeyang insisted. Not for security reasons, for appearances. He wanted to show that Miso was under control, peaceful, and not a threat unless provoked. The room fell silent when they entered. Every delegate turned to look. Not at Taeyang, not at Bora, at the small calico cat walking calmly between them. Miso seemed unbothered by the attention. She had no concept of what had happened or why these strange beings were staring at her. She was simply walking with her human, as she had done countless times before. Taeyang and Bora reached the human delegation table. Taeyang removed the leash and Miso immediately jumped onto the table. She sat down, wrapped her tail around her paws and looked out at the room with calm green eyes. No one laughed this time. No one made jokes about useless pets or emotional support. The delegates who had mocked Miso 3 days ago now watched her with something that looked like respect. Or possibly fear. Sometimes the two were hard to tell apart. Ambassador Vrath was the first to approach. He moved slowly, keeping his movements obvious and non-threatening. He stopped a respectful distance from the human table. Ambassador Taeyang, he said. His translator made his voice sound formal. Before we begin today's negotiations, I would like to ask you something. About Earth. Of course, Taeyang replied. Are there other creatures like this on your world? Vrath asked. Other small predators that humans keep as companions? Taeyang smiled slightly. He had expected this question. Yes, he said. Many. Dogs are larger than cats and very loyal. They were bred from wolves. Some can weigh over 100 pounds. Humans also keep birds, snakes, lizards, and other animals. Some are harmless. Others can be dangerous if threatened. Vrath processed this information. His tail moved in slow patterns. A sign of deep thought. Why? He asked finally. Why do humans choose to live with creatures that could harm them? Because they rarely do harm us, Bora said. We have bonds with these animals. We care for them. We feed them and give them shelter. In return, they give us companionship, loyalty, and protection, like what Miso did for Taeyang. Delegate Kryn approached as well. She looked at Miso with her compound eyes. "This suggests something about human psychology," she said. "You see danger and choose to live with it. You form emotional attachments to predators. This is very different from most species." "Perhaps," Taeyang agreed. "Or perhaps we simply recognize that strength and danger are not the same as evil. Miso has teeth and claws. She can kill. But she uses those abilities to hunt mice and to protect her family. She is not cruel. She is not malicious. She is simply what evolution made her to be, and we love her for that." Miso chose that moment to yawn. Her small mouth opened wide, showing sharp white teeth. Several delegates took a step back. Miso closed her mouth and began grooming her paw, completely unaware of the reaction she had caused. The conference moderator called the session to order. Delegates returned to their tables. The formal negotiations began. The topics were complex: trade routes, resource sharing, technology exchanges. These discussions would normally take weeks or months to resolve. But something had changed. When Taeyang proposed terms, delegates listened more carefully. When Bora presented data, no one dismissed it without consideration. The human delegation was taken seriously in a way they had not been before. During a break in the morning session, the wolf-like delegate approached Taeyang privately. His name was Kren. He spoke quietly. "I wanted to tell you something," Kren said. "My people are hunters. We pride ourselves on our strength and our skill. But watching that video of your cat, I realized something. We judge strength by size and obvious power. Humans judge it differently. You see potential in small things. You recognize that a creature does not need to be large to be effective." "That is true," Taeyang said. "On Earth, some of the most dangerous creatures are very small. Poisonous spiders, venomous snakes, disease-carrying insects. Size does not determine capability." Kren nodded slowly. His ears were flat against his head, a gesture of submission in his species. "I think many of us made a mistake," he said. "We saw humans as soft because you value companionship. We saw your cat as useless because she was small. We did not understand that these things are actually strengths. The ability to form bonds with different species. The wisdom to look beyond surface appearances. These are valuable traits." "Thank you," Taeyang said. "That means a great deal coming from you." The negotiations continued throughout the day. By evening, the human delegation had secured better terms than they had originally hoped for. Trade routes that had seemed impossible to obtain were suddenly open for discussion. Technology exchanges that other species had been reluctant to share became negotiable. It was not because the other species feared Miso specifically. It was because they had learned something important. Humans were not as weak or naive as they had assumed. Humans understood power in ways that other species did not, and that made them unpredictable. Unpredictable could be dangerous. Better to work with humans than against them. That evening, Taeyang and Bora returned to their quarters. Miso walked between them, tired from a long day of being stared at by strange aliens. She wanted dinner and sleep. In that order. Bora prepared food while Taeyang fed Miso. The cat ate quickly, then jumped onto the bed. She circled 3 times before settling into a comfortable position. Her purring filled the quiet room. "We should bring her to every negotiation," Bora said. She was smiling. "She is better than any weapon or strategy." Taeyang shook his head gently. "No," he said. "Miso is not a tool. She is not a tactic. She is family. What she did was protect me because she loves me. I will not use that. I will not turn her into something she is not." Bora's smile faded slightly, but she nodded. "You are right," she said. "I apologize. That was not appropriate." "The other species have learned something important," Taeyang continued. "Not about cats. About humans. They learned that we form bonds across species lines, that we value loyalty and companionship, that we protect those we love and they protect us. These are human traits. These are what make us who we are." He sat on the bed beside Miso. The cat opened one eye and looked at him. Then she stretched out one paw and placed it on his hand. It was a gesture of affection, simple, pure, without any thought of politics or strategy. "This is what matters," Taeyang said quietly. "Not the negotiations, not the trade agreements, the connection between beings who care about each other." Bora watched them for a moment. Then she smiled again, warmer this time. "When we return to Earth, I think I will get a cat," she said. 3 weeks later, the negotiations concluded successfully. The human delegation had achieved all their primary objectives and several secondary ones. The trade agreements were favorable. The technology exchanges were valuable. Humanity's position in the galactic community had improved significantly. On the final day, many delegates came to say farewell to Taiyang and Bora. Several asked for information about Earth animals. A few requested permission to visit Earth someday to see these remarkable creatures for themselves. Ambassador Vrath was among the last to say goodbye. He approached the human table one final time. Miso sat there watching him with those calm green eyes. I have learned much from this experience, Vrath said, about humans, about myself, about the dangers of judging based on appearances. We all learned something, Taeyang replied. Vrath looked at Miso for a long moment. Then very slowly he lowered his head, a gesture of respect in Vorian culture. It was not given lightly. May your travels be safe, Vrath said, and may your small guardian always watch over you. After he left, Bora turned to Taeyang. Did that just happen? She asked. Did Ambassador Vrath, who leads one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, just bow to a cat? He bowed to what she represents, Taeyang said. Loyalty, protection, the bond between different beings. That is worth respecting. The transport ship departed from Station Theta 9 at the end of the week. Taeyang stood at the observation window as the station shrank into the distance. Earth was 3 weeks away, home. He was looking forward to it. Miso sat on the bench beside him. She had her own small window to look through. She watched the stars with the same calm expression she always had. The vastness of space did not frighten her. The strange aliens and dangerous situations did not trouble her. She was with her human. That was all that mattered. Bora joined them at the window. She looked tired but satisfied. We did well, she said. The agreements we secured will benefit Earth for decades. Yes, Taeyang agreed. But I think the most important thing we accomplished was changing how the galaxy sees humanity. We showed them that humans are not weak for valuing companionship. We are not foolish for forming bonds with other species. These traits make us stronger, not weaker. He reached down and stroked Miso's head. The cat leaned into his touch, purring. The galaxy is full of strong species, Taeyang continued. Species with powerful weapons. Species with advanced technology. Species with massive armies.